So the important thing is get your board set up. Tell me when you're ready to record.
I'm already recording you.
You're already recording me?
Yeah, say hello.
So when are you putting this on the board? When?
After my lead-in, after my reading.
Yeah, so they've already done C, and they've already done D. Have you seen any of these movies? While they're doing these tasks, you want to get your sentences on the board.
Okay.
Right? Because if I'm doing this in open class, it's time consuming, right?
Yep.
Thousands of Okay, so in this sentence, is the film Out of Africa important or Sidney Pollack important?
Sidney Pollack.
What if I wanted to say that the film was more important than the director?
Then you put Out of Africa was directed by Sidney Pollack.
Wow, very good. Green pen anywhere?
Right there.
So what happens to Out of Africa?
Out of Africa becomes the subject.
Wow. That's fantastic.
And Sidney Pollack is the doer? Agent?
Very good. And so, what is this here then?
B?
Good. And this would be?
Past participle.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Brilliant. Does the sentence make sense if you take off that?
No. Oh, yes.
Yes. So this is optional, right? And which of these is active?
Active is where the agent is the doer and is the most important. So active is Sidney Pollack, directed Out of Africa.
And the subject is the doer. The subject does the action.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In this sentence, does Out of Africa do anything?
No.
Who does something?
Sidney Pollack.
Right. And this is active or passive?
Passive.
And is this present simple passive?
No.
It's
Past.
How do we know it's past?
Was directed. ED.
So are they the same tense?
Yes.
Right. Excellent.
How do we know? Why can't we just say it's the past passive tense? Why does it have to be simple?
Because past perfect is also a tense. So to distinguish between past simple and past perfect, we call this the past simple.
Okay, so past tense is just normal past tense. I'm sorry, past simple is normal past tense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Without any weird things.
Without any weird things, but you could say Sidney Pollack had directed the movie by the time he was 50.
Mm-hmm.
That's also past, right?
Yeah.
So we call it past simple to distinguish between. Alright, so now looking at this sentence, could you put this into passive?
Yes.
Okay, do these sentences with your partner.
Okay.
So they do that with their partner.
Okay.
Do it, talking, right? Give them a chance to do it. And they're going to come up with, so what's the answer here?
The movie was made on location.
Right, so does the movie do something or does something happen to the movie?
Something happens to the movie.
Now, was made on location is not quite correct. Think about the tense here.
Had been made.
Not quite.
Is being made.
Do we know who's making the movie?
No.
What if we wanted to say who's making the movie? Let's say it's Sidney Pollack.
The movie is being made by Sidney Pollack. Or on location by Sidney Pollack.
Okay, yeah. You could add by Sidney Pollack. Does the sentence still make sense without Sidney Pollack?
Yes.
Right, so this is optional. And just remind me, is this the subject or is this the agent?
It is the agent.
Right. And where's the subject in this sentence?
The movie.
Right. But what does the action in this sentence? The subject or the agent?
The agent.
Good. And how do we know this is passive?
Because the movie, the subject is first.
Right, there's something about this.
Oh, to be.
Right, so it's some version of the verb to be plus,
Made.
which is what?
Oh, past participle, I'm sorry.
Right. What about the next one? How would you put this into passive?
The movie will be released next year.
Does this sentence include the agent?
No.
What if we wanted to put the agent in there? Well, how could we complete the sentence?
The movie will be released next year by Sidney Pollack.
Probably the studio, right?
Yeah.
So again, who does the action in this sentence? Does the movie do the action?
No. The studio.
Right. And do we need this information?
No.
And finally, thousands of fans have visited the country. How would you make this passive?
The country has been visited by thousands of fans.
And once again, looking at these two sentences, how do we know that these are passive in terms of the structure?
Because the subject is first.
In all of these sentences, the subject is first.
Mm-hmm.
Not just passive, also the active. That's the subject. That's the subject. Every sentence, the subject is first, apart from questions. How do we know it's passive? What's the structure that makes it passive?
Subject plus to be plus past participle.
So we got the verb to be here. And what about this sentence?
Subject plus to be plus participle.
And what's the agent in the final sentence here?
Thousands of fans.
Right. Do we need this information?
No.
Right. And what's important in this sentence? The country or the fans?
The country.
What about this sentence? What's important, the movie or the studio?
The movie.
Right. So we use passive when we want to
show what's important.
Good. This is past simple. What about this one?
Past.
Is it past? They're making.
No, it's present continuous.
Well done. Good.
Whoa.
Right. And this would be active, right?
Yes.
Which makes the other one
passive.
Right. What about they will release the movie next year?
Future.
Future, simple, call it that. And the first one is active, right? Which makes the second one
passive.
And then we have here, what's this tense?
Present.
It is present. Present what? Is it simple?
No. Present. Perfect. Oh my gosh.
Just to help you, present continuous is always to be plus verb plus E. Okay. Future simple is always will plus verb. Present perfect is always has or have plus past participle.
Wow, this is great. Thank you, Lee.
Now, we've done the form and we've done the meaning, so pronunciation. When we say this sentence, you don't have to do the active, just the passive. When we say the sentence, Out of Africa was directed by Sidney Pollack, which words are stressed?
Out. Africa.
Out of Africa was directed by Sidney Pollack.
Directed.
Probably Africa, directed Sidney Pollack. Yeah?
Yeah.
Africa directed Sidney Pollack. Do we say was or was? Out of Africa was directed by Sidney Pollack.
Was.
Since it was, it's not was, it's was.
Was.
We represent that like this. So say it with me. Out of Africa was directed by Sidney Pollack.
Out of Africa was directed by Sidney Pollack.
Good. Now look at the next one. I'll say it. Where's the stress? The movie is being made on location by Sidney Pollack. The movie's being made on location by Sidney Pollack.
Movie made location Sidney Pollack.
Good. And what happens here if we say it fast?
The movies.
Good. It's a Z sound.
Do you want to put that they are combined basically or not?
Yeah, you can combine.
Okay.
So that could become.
Okay.
Okay, so repeat after me. The movie's being made on location.
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 On location.
On location.
Made on location.
Made on location.
Being made on location.
Being made on
The
location.
movie's being made on location.
The movie's being made on location.
Good. Now, the next one, you try to identify the stress.
The movie will be released next year. Movie released next year.
By the studio. Now, if you say this fast, what happens? Movie will be released.
It combines. It how would you say that?
Becomes a contraction.
Contraction.
So repeat after me. The movie will be released next year.
The movie will be released next year.
The movie will be released next year by the studio.
The movie will be released next year by the studio.
Now, what about this one? Which words are stressed?
The country has been visited by thousands of fans. Country visited thousands of fans.
Excellent. Well done. And what happens here if we say it fast?
The country's been
And it's a Z sound again.
z-
And this been, it's been.
been
So, again, repeat. The country's been visited by thousands of fans.
the country's been visited by thousands of fans.
Thousands of fans.
Thousands of fans.
By thousands of fans.
By thousands of fans.
Been visited by thousands of fans.
Been visited by thousands of fans.
The country's been visited by thousands of fans.
The country's been visited by thousands of fans.
That's it.
Fantastic.
Then you give them the control practice and say, now let's try and do the control practice, which is in the book.
Yeah, great. So, this one,
You could do the first one here, movies inspire. You could do the first one on the board. I did the second one on the board. You could do the first one. That's it. Now do the rest.
okay.
And you could type that up again and take out number 2. And they tried to do the 4.
But then we go through all of them as a class, and then the controlled practice is this one by themselves.
Then feedback in pairs. Go through the answers.
This one?
There are 2. Do you want to do that one or that one? Probably that's quite a good one.
Okay.
Take out number 6.
Okay. Okay. So, I'm going to show them how to do number 1. We're going to do number 1 together.
Yeah,
And
this
then-
one, movies inspire.
Yeah. And then,
I would do the feedback on the board like this. You could even get them to come up and write in the sentences.
okay.
The problem with that is it makes it a bit messier.
Yeah.
You could do it on the OHP if you want, and just put the answers on top. so that you don't have to write it?
I think it'd be okay to do it like this because I have an hour.
Yeah, I mean, try not to make it too forward-centered. I mean, this whole section should not take more than 10 minutes.
Really?
How long did it take me?
I don't know.